Good morning, Vesta. I'm running late. I am so sorry. This morning I was chatting with Tony, and this morning while I was having my coffee, I had this bright idea that I wanted to get some more samples made with different designer series paper for the project today. So I come upstairs and I'm busy, doing all of that stuff, and totally forgot about the time. And so so then I'm running back downstairs, and okay, so I found myself, I think I'm live. You guys tell me, just having a computer thing going on here. So yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, how do I get myself to go large here? That's not what I want. Right here, I think. Okay. I may not be able to see comments. There we go. Okay, so thank you everybody for being here, and I apologize for being late. I was still in my pajamas at 10:30, and it was like, oh my gosh, I gotta get ready. I got this live to do. So I got a really, really cute project. When I saw the Bauble Blooms bundle, as demonstrators, we get to order things a month before the public does. And so when we had that pre-order going on and I saw the baubles in bloom, it wasn't so much the stamp set that caught my attention, it was the die. Now, I have passed on other bundles that Stampin' Up! Has offered before with an ornament die. I don't know why this one I gravitated to. Maybe because the price point was better for me than bundles in the past. So I got it, and right away I had a vision for that bauble die, and I have been sitting on this for like a whole month because I wanted to wait till July so we can do Christmas in July to use it. So I have just been sitting on pins and needles. So excited to show you what it's gonna look like. So every Wednesday I do post prep directions for the mystery quilt card for Thursday. So people found what to get ready, and today we're gonna cut the paper together, and I can't wait to show you. And I learned a new fun fold from Card Play Retreat last weekend that we're gonna use today too. So I'm gonna flip the camera around, and while I'm doing that, please say good morning to each other and we'll get started. And because I'm a little behind, I need to just take a breather and slow down a little bit. I feel like I'm playing catch up, and I really don't need to. You guys are so good about just going with the flow here. I am going to try and, ooh, that's a little too much. Zoom in. So good morning, Janice. Janice, I did send you your invoice. Hopefully you still have the same email address that I had in the last time I used it. So let me know. I haven't had a chance to go on and check any notifications yet because I was, I was busy up here, and then I found myself really behind in getting started today. So I've got myself situated. Good morning, Karen and Linda and Rhonda, Sandra, and we have Sherry and another Linda. I love it when we got all the Lindas in the house. Eleanor, good morning. Hi, Sharon and Jasmine. Hi, Sandy. Hey, Tony. Hi, Ellen and Kathy. I'm just scrolling back up through here. Hi, Diane. Hi, Linda. So if I counted right, we've got 3 Lindas in the house, which is always good. And Canada's in the house. Hi, Shirley. Hi, Deborah. Hey, Pam. Okay, wonderful. So, as I said in the prep, if you're not a demonstrator and you didn't get a chance to order this bundle ahead of time, you can use a circle to still do the card for today. Okay, this is the second to the largest stylish shapes, the circle. So you can still use that. And I've got a card made where I did use a circle so that you can see it's just as pretty as the bauble. Okay, so I'm going to be using the bauble die and the little hanger here. This month, while I am using this bundle, I will be playing with these other designs. What I love about this is these designs remind me of the more vintage glass ornaments. I have quite a few packed away that have like poinsettias on them and stuff like that. But that's the feel that this stamp set gives me. And I'm using the joyous wishes to you and yours as the sentiment. Now, for the dies, they actually come, I mean, you don't get any more than what you really need. And that's what makes the price point really nice too. So, you've got two different types of hangers. You've got your bauble. And then you've got, if you stamp a bow, you can die cut it. So really, again, not any more dies than what you really need, which is, that really was nice for me because it can keep you in a price point that's much better. So we'll set that aside. What we're going to actually get started with is we're going to get started and we're going to get our card base out of the way before we go on to the quilting part of it. So this is a fun fold that I've never done before until last weekend when Karen and Holly, Barb and Julie and we had our card play online retreat. And Karen showed this fun fold, and this is the one time that I had made sure that I had all of the featured the cards for the make and take. I wanted to at least get those made with everybody. And this is I don't think Karen she did use this fun fold in her featured card. So I thought, why not bring it into today, because maybe somebody else out there has never done this fun fold either. Hi, Kathy. Oh my goodness, you're watching Holly and I at the same time. That is crazy. Hi, Lori and Janice and Crystal. Okay, so we have a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of cardstock. It's a half a sheet of cardstock when you look at the 8 1/2 by 11. So it's just cut down the middle in half on the 8 1/2 inch side. So 4 1/4 by 11. Okay, we're going to turn this so that your 11 inch side is across the top. We're going to score it at 5 1/2. So remember, scoring, not cutting. And I say that out loud more for myself than anybody else. So then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it back this way. And I am going to stand up to do this because looking at the laptop, you can see up here better than you can see down here. So I am going to try and do this like upside down. This is a Holly move, but Holly stamps upside down. So, and she's a perfectionist at it. So I'm going to stand up, and what I want to do is I'm going to use the right side of my trimmer, and I'm going to find the 1 inch line. So I'm going to first get that lined up at 1 inch. Okay, now I'm going to lower my voice because I'm going to be standing right over my phone and I don't want to be yelling at you. I'm going to bring my cutting blade into play here. And if you've ever noticed on the side of your cutting blade, there's a line, an indentation, and that's where the blade sits. So I'm going to line up this line here, and I would zoom in, but then I zoom out. But right on the edge there, I'm going to line that up with my score line. Again, I moved my paper over to the 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to try and not get in here. I'm going to push the blade down into my cardstock, and I am going to cut towards the top or the end of my card base. Okay, so I'm going to open that up and see how we made this like little flap here. Now I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to put it on 1 inch again. And I could start from the top and come down here, but I have a tendency not to stop in time. So I am going to start back down here because I don't want my cut to go too far. And I know I'm going to stop in time down there. Okay, so now I have 2 1 inch flaps. Okay, and that's our fun fold. So let's see, is there any more cutting that we have to do? Oh yes. Okay, I changed my mind about something last night as I was making more of these cards. Now you can leave your designer series papers, you can leave these strips at 7/8 by 5 1/8 if you want to. The reason why I did that in the beginning is because these strips are so narrow that I didn't want to lose like a lot of the pattern. But I kept looking at it, I'm like, it just doesn't look as nice as Karen's did. So I trimmed my pieces down to 3/4 of an inch by, no, it was 5 3/8. I did 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4. Like we normally would do, just going down 1/4. So you can either leave your strips alone and you'll have a more narrow border, or since they are bigger and we want to cut them down, you're not starting over, you're just adjusting it. So I believe I did do, yeah, 3/4 by 5 1/4. So I trimmed those down. I also trimmed this landscape piece down to 3/4 of an inch by 4. And the other pieces that I needed to adjust were the insert. I went to 2 by 5 1/4 for that, and 2 by 5 1/4 for the front. So you can choose to leave your pieces alone, or you can downsize them just a little bit. Okay, I really want to, I don't know, I just changed my mind. I like the aesthetics of what we just trimmed them down to, but it's still a pretty card. But I just thought the wider border actually did do more for the designer series paper than a narrow border. Hello Ruth, I'm glad you found us. So let's keep going, and let's see, what do I want to do next? I don't think, while we've got the trimmer, let me just take a look at what I got going on here. Okay, while we've got the trimmer out, let's do some cutting for what we're going to need for our quilt block. Okay, so this is a 3/8 of an inch by, I just made it longer than, I think this one's by 4, a little over 4. We're going to cut some bars out of this. So they're 3/8 of an inch, but they need to be 3/4 of an inch long. So I'm just gonna, again, I'm gonna just be using this side of my trimmer, and I've got the edge of my paper over here at 3/4 of an inch. And I need 4 of these bars. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And there's 4. And a little bit left over in case you need to cut another one. So those are those 4 pieces there. We're not going to do anything with these 9/16 inch squares. We're not going to do anything with those. Now the only small pieces that we're going to need, we're going to take this 3/4 of an inch square, and we're going to cut it diagonally in both directions. So I'm going to get 4 smaller triangles out of this one larger one. Okay, so close that. So I've made 2 halves, and now I'm going to turn that half around. I'm going to put the peak in the cutting track and cut it in half again. So there's 2 of the 4 triangles that we need. And there's the 4. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all of these aside. Set all my pieces aside. And what we're going to talk about now is that piece that I had you do some homework on. So this is 1.5 by 3. Now I drew the lines, and I hope you can see the pencil lines because it is a darker paper. When you're working on any more of these, you can do the lines by scoring. Okay, because we're going to end up having to erase these pencil lines, but for it to show up and that I can demonstrate for you, I drew them in. So, but I'm going to score also to show you how. So we're going to put the 1.5 inch side across the top, and I'm going to put the right side of my paper over here at 3/8 of an inch. Get the cutting blade out of the way, and I'm going to score. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do 3/8 on the other side. And believe me, once you remember 3/8 on this piece here and 1 1/8, you'll be whipping these quilt blocks out like a champ. Now I'm going to turn it to where the 3 inches across the top, and we're going to come over at 1 1/8, and we're going to score because I need to find my middle. Okay, flip it around, same measurement, 1 1/8. Just 2 numbers that you got to remember. Okay? So let's get the trimmer out of the way. We may or may not need that. So here you can see it. Now the good thing is if you're working with dark paper, when we go to start piecing our quilt block, you can, if you need to see better, you can fold these, because the quilting, when you do, it's going to take away any lines, okay? So there's how we're going to get started on this piece of the quilt block. This isn't the whole piece. Hi, Jill. Tony, on the red piece. Hi, Kim. Okay, so this is 1.5 by 3. On the 1.5 inch side, you need to mark or score at 3/8 of an inch on both sides. Then when you turn it around to the 3 inch length, you're going to score or draw at 1.1/8 of an inch on both sides of the outside. So what you end up with is a 3/4 inch square right here in the center. Okay, that's why we needed to find our halfway. Alrighty. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, you have that one done? No, the other piece you cut. Which one? Which one, Tony? The square that was that turned into 4 triangles? That was 3/4 of an inch. I'll try to glance over and see if we're on the same page. Okay, so we, I believe, can get started on our quilt design. A fine tip applicator works really good for this project. We're going to need this 3-inch square of Designer Series paper too. I'm going to get all the rest of this out of the way because we don't need it. What we need is our 3-inch square, this piece, and we need all of these pieces that we just cut. Let's move all of this out of the way. Do I need to zoom in more? I might need to. That way you can really see what I'm doing here. Okay. Hi, Suzanne. How are you? The long skinny one. The long skinny one, Tony, you need to cut 4 bars that are 3/8 of an inch by 3/4 in length. So that strip was already 3/8 that you cut. Subcut that into 4 3/4 inch lengths. Okay? And I know you're fast. So, okay. Hey, Ann, hello. How's everything in Wisconsin? Okay, so let's work here. So I'm gonna start out, oh, that's that bar I don't want to glue that one. I need my 4 little bars to get started. So I'm gonna bring this up so you can see where these bars are gonna go. Do you see our 3/4 inch square that's in the center? 2 of these bars are going to go up at the top, but to the left and right of that center square. Okay, so you have this opening here. Your 2 bars are going to go right at the top, but to the sides of that 3/4 inch center. Okay. So we're going to go here. Make sure you're all the way out to the edge, and don't pay too. The most important thing is that you're all the way out to the edge. Okay. My glue bottle wants to stick to me. Okay. And remember, I was telling you, if you needed this, if you got a dark paper and it's hard to see your lines, if you fold that paper back, you'll get to where you need to be. Okay. That's just a helpful little hint there. And then open it back up. Don't be afraid to fold those lines to get to where you need to be so that you can see it. Okay. Let's now do the bars down here on the bottom. Once we get these bars down, if you drew in your pencil lines, I want you to erase all your pencil lines, but not until you get these bars done, because we really need to keep that middle open, and you need to know the center. Oh, that's the right one. First I thought I grabbed that long one. Okay, I'm just going to fold that back and then open it up again. So here's what we got going on so far. Okay, Tony's up to speed. Good. Okay. So now that we have those in place, you can right now erase your pencil lines. All of them. Okay, we got some out here on the ends. Okay, you don't need those anymore. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our triangles. Okay? And in the center, there's going to be a triangle that goes at the top, at the bottom, and the peak of your triangles is going to be facing inward. And your triangle should fill in that gap across the top and bottom. The reason why we're piecing it in the manner that we are is because I wanted to save you having to deal with much tinier triangles than what we're using right here. Okay, so I'm just trying to save any frustration. When I designed my first one, I did it the hard way. And then as I was looking at it, I'm like, there's got to be a better way so that we don't have to deal with such tiny, tiny triangles. So there's where we're at right now. Hi, Kay, how are you? How's everything in Indiana? Now what we're going to do is these two triangles that are left over, kind of put them off to the side, mimicking these two here, because that's the position that they're going to need. We only need to glue down half of it. So your glue's always going to be in the corners. So I just kind of paint a little triangle in the corner with my glue. And I'm going to put that down. The peak of my triangle should line up with the edge of the base there. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. You'll see why. Okay, that's going to go there. We're going to give this glue a little time to set. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim off these tails and we're going to use them over in this corner. But I want the glue to grab first so that when I cut, it doesn't shift the paper. Now we're going to take those 9/16 inch squares, and here in these two squares on each side of the middle, take this square here and turn it on point, which means you have a diamond, and you're going to fit it right in the middle of that square. And then put the other one on the other side. And do you see what's happening here? Look how easy it was to make that sawtooth star. Easy peasy. But we need to finish our stars on either side of it. How do you like that trick? So that you didn't have to cut all these little tiny triangles here. I'm looking out for you. We're going to cut these off. Again, remember, the glue's going to go in the corner. I'm going to get my take your pick tool, because I can really use this putty end to pick up that little tiny triangle, and I can sit it right into place where it needs to be. Okay, again, my glue is going to go down in the corner, a little triangle, pick up my baby triangle, and set it down here. So now we've got a quilt pattern going on. What do you think so far? Hi, Carol. Hi, Marilyn. There we go. So that's what we got going on so far. And I want that just to grab a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in this 3 of designer series paper that's going to be in the background. Okay. And center. Oh boy, we're buffering. So let's hope that it gets caught up here. Hello, Linda and Dawn. Oh, Linda, our Linda that was here first thing this morning. I thought maybe we had another Linda. Okay, is it buffering for you guys? I've got a thing that says waiting for a live video signal. So you guys let me know. Are you stalled on your end? If you're not, I'm going to keep going. And hopefully it's just my computer needing to catch up. There, it looks like we caught up. Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to center our quilt pattern halfway on this 3-inch square designer series paper. I'm actually going to rotate mine, and I'm going to use my grid to help me be more straight, because I can be wonky. So halfway, I'm going to see 3/4 of an inch on either side. That way I know that I'm in the middle. So let's get the Tombow out, since this is a much wider piece. Now remember, I've got directional designer series paper. So I don't want to forget and put this down like this, although you'll see in 5 cards that I made this mistake. Really not a big deal, but I want to be more conscious of and do it the way I envisioned it the first time. So just remember that. So I'm looking for 3 inches on both sides, which is 3 of these 1/4 inch squares. And this is going to help at least get me in the center. Okay? And it's important because I've cut this 3-inch square very close to the size of the die, and I don't have room to like move things around. So now that that's down, I'm going to turn it back to the way the directional paper is. I am not going to die cut yet. We need to do some quilting. So I am going to quilt this piece, and I am going to quilt 2 of the 4 strips. I just got to decide which 2 I want to quilt. And this is all just, you know, preference here. I think I'm going to quilt those 2, and then I've got this 4-inch, 3/4 of an inch by 4-inch horizontal piece that's going to get quilted too. And all of these pieces that are getting quilted are actually going to be on the front of the card. So I'm going to use the tile. I know it's probably not current, but or it may be on the last chance, but I can't get all of these pieces in here at the same time, so I'm going to have to do them one at a time. I'm going to step away and I'm going to do the quilting, and I'll be right back. Okay, so these are my strips. Get those out. And then I just have my quilt block here. Okay, so we've got some quilting done. We're going to set those pieces off to the side. Just a very subtle pattern. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my Bauble die. Okay, and I am going to position this to where what's more important is that I don't lose this tip down here at the bottom. I also want to center it. So what I'm looking at, do I have the same amount of space on each side of those 2 half stars? Okay. The reason why I'm not super concerned up here is because we're going to put a topper. We're going to put that Bauble topper on there. So I'm not so worried about that. But I don't want to lose my point at the bottom. So once I've got that where I want it, I'm going to secure it with some of this Post-it tape. Well, if I take it off the roll in the right way, in the direction it's meant to. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm straight and pretty even. We'll put one down here in the corner. Just to kind of hold it in place. So I'm going to die cut not only this piece, but I need to stabilize the Bauble because it's designer series paper. It's been run through an embossing folder. It's very thin. So after I die cut this piece, I'm going to die cut a Bauble out of the really red, which is the same color as my card base, so that I have a back to my Bauble and to give it stability. Hi Louise, how are you? Hey Susan. Ornetta, hello. Okay, so I'm going to step away and I'm going to die cut these two really quick. I'm I'm going to individually die cut them. When I was playing around with the design, I was doubling up, you know, thinking I was like killing two birds with one stone. Sorry, birds. No, that was, you know, just a saying. But because I had to run it through more than once to cut through the layers, I really smushed my quilting. So it's better if you just do them individually. Unless you've got a trick you can teach me where I don't lose my quilting. Because here's what my decision that I had to make was. This die has a really cute stitched outline. And I wanted the stitching to show. And I want my quilting to show. So here I've got my stitching. And I still have some of my quilted design. Okay, so now that that is done, now I can go ahead and I'll die cut another bauble out of that red. Okay. And if you're new and watching and you're wondering, why isn't she just bringing the die cut machine down in front of her? Because I will probably lose quite a few things on my craft table. Just the jiggling could send punches coming down and a number of things. So we don't do that. Okay, so there's my stabilizer, is what we'll call this piece. And because I want the stitching to show, even though it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be hidden, I'm going to turn it over. Again, these are just little details that I focus on. Being the overthinker. And then I'm going to layer my quilted ornament right on top, line it all up, flip it over. See how I can still see that pretty stitching on the back side? Give it a press. And look at that beautiful quilted bauble. You guys, I have just been like beside myself wanting to show you this. What if you emboss after you die cut? Well then, Marilyn, I lost my stitching. It caused all my stitching to kind of fade. So I was trying to find a way that I could get the best of both worlds and may have to sacrifice a little bit, but I wanted my stitching and I wanted my quilting. So that's kind of the conundrum I was in. Okay? This just reminds me of a vintage ornament, especially using this paper. It's been retired. It was a Sentimental Christmas, I think, from last year. And I wasn't a fan. But I'm sure glad that I hung on to it, because I think it really works well for this card. So there's our quilted bauble ornament. Does anybody collect any Jim Shore things? I'm not a collector, but I have several pieces of the Jim Shore art. I've got angels where in their gown there's a quilt pattern. He puts quilt patterns in all of his designs. And I don't know, I thought of that. It reminded me of the pieces that I have in my quilt room. I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of that. Not trying to copy Jim Shore by any means, but it just reminded me of what the pieces that I can see from sitting at my craft table. So there's our bauble, but we need to put the little topper on it. So I'm just going to put some glue across the top here. I love this topper. And with the dies, you get 2 choices for your topper. And I'm just gonna put it right across the top there. That's why I wasn't, if I lost some of the top, I was okay with it because it's just gonna get covered up. I didn't want to lose the bottom of my bauble. So there is our ornament. And now we can go back to finishing our fun fold. Let's put that over to the side. And we are going to square this up. Okay, I can see right now that that needed a little adjusting there. I'm going to square up this corner. We're going to zoom back out. Hold on. And there we go. I'm going to square this corner here. That panel should lay really nice and flat. Okay. So we got this going on. I'm going to open up my card base and bring in the 2 strips that are not quilted, and the flat ones are gonna go on both sides here. I'm looking for 3 equal borders, and this is gonna go right in the middle, but I'm not gonna glue that in yet because I want to think of what I want to stamp there. And I don't want to get it glued down, stamp it, the stamp is crooked or whatever, and I've got to rip it apart. So this will come later. But let's go ahead and let's get these down. I know y'all have probably done this fun fold before. I don't know what takes me so long sometimes. But I love it. And wait till you see the other samples I've got. I started this morning, the reason why I was so behind is I started pulling out Christmas paper. Some of it's a couple years old. And started making more samples to show you. Because I just wanted you to see how fun this can be. So we've got the inside. Okay, we're not gluing anything down. This is all going to be like free form. So my quilted pieces, naturally, these are going to go here. And I've stamped Joyous Wishes to You and Yours. And that will go there in the center. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have the whole front showing, I can't see where one border ends and the other one begins. So I'm going to fold them back. So it looks like I've got my index finger pointed up. Think of that bottom part as a hand, and you got your index finger pointing. Just even this out. Do the best you can. And then I'm going to flip him back. Now this is not my middle finger. This is just the middle panel. This way I can pay attention to the borders that I want to be paying attention to. Okay. Tuck him under, bring your pinky finger out. And put your last strip there. Okay. And now with your, this is a 1 inch by 4 1/4. piece of cardstock. This horizontal piece is gonna fit right in the center there. Now this is called a spanner card. Never heard of it before. First time doing it. And this is going to act like a little bridge that we're only going to put glue on the ends here. We don't want to glue this flap. So you just figure out where you want to put it. And you've got about 1 inch on either end that you can put your adhesive. I just make sure that I'm less than 1 inch. And then find where it looks good to you. Now we've got embossed designer series paper underneath, so you're going to have to give the glue time to grab all those ridges that the embossing created. Now that looks straight to me. I sure hope so. So when you open your card, it opens like this. It opens like this. And you can stand it up like that. So a spanner card is what this fun fold is called. Now we need to put our ornament on. And my plan is that it's going to get popped up right here on this bridge. I did take some of the gold. This gold and silver trim is a current product. I took a little bit of that gold and made a bow. And I'm going to put that right at the top of my hanger there. But let's put some dimensionals down. I know that I can fit 4 of them if I have them fairly close together. Okay. Take those off. Put my bauble. Just want to make sure my bauble is straight. And so this is what it looks like on the front of your spanner card. Okay. And then I am bringing in some, I went, you know, go to your old stuff. This is a chance to use this stuff up. Because you got to make room for the new Christmas stuff that'll be coming out. So let's use up the old stuff. So we have room. And these are called low profile dots. Love anything that's low profile because it keeps down on the bulk. Okay, and here all you're doing is you're embellishing. And what I did was I just put a couple there on a diagonal. And then we'll put one over here. Now you could decorate your ornament some more. Maybe you want to put a low profile dot like in the middles. I mean, you can embellish your ornament. It doesn't have to be done just because you put a bow on it and it's quilted. You could really make it ornamental if you wanted to. So that is our mystery quilt card for today. And now I want to show you some other samples that I did. Now I made I'm up to 8 of these red ones. I just love this color scheme. But I thought, you know what? I want to be able to show them what it looks like in other papers. So that's what I was doing early this morning. And these aren't finished yet, but I just want to give you an idea. Okay, so remember the penguin paper? Here's, now I haven't stamped yet, but you can see, you know, it's the same pretense of what we just did. But this panel needs to have a sentiment and it needs glued down. But look at that ornament. Isn't that gorgeous? But here I get to use some fun designer series paper from the past. So it is so much fun. Here, do you remember this designer series paper? My bauble's crooked. Don't pay attention, my bauble's crooked. Love this one. This is very elegant. And don't be afraid to mix and match or mix your metals up. There's a lot of silver foil going on in this, but I don't have any silver foil. And I thought my hanger would get lost if I chose silver. So I went with the gold. When it comes to jewelry, I mix gold and silver all the time when I wear it. So there's one with that old designer series paper. And I only quilted the front strips because that's where I wanted the focal to be. And then Tony, this reminded me of you. Tony loves her blues. But here's the polar bears. Is this not cute? So even though you have very elegant star ornaments, you can still bring in the fun designer series paper and add some whimsy to the elegance of the ornament. Oh, I wanted to show you, where's my round one? For those of you, if you don't have the bauble yet, this is what the round ornament looks like. It is just as pretty as the bauble. Can you see that if we just take it down like this? So you can still use a circle and make an ornament out of it. But really, I think, you know, to have this bauble die at the price point that it is really a good value. So, so yeah. Round ornaments, bauble ornaments, it's up to you. So there's my round and my bauble. And then we've got, you know, our fun ones too. So I hope that you enjoy making this quilt card. I know that this is going to be probably my Christmas card for this year. I just love this bauble ornament. Maybe the quilt design will be different. There's a lot of ideas going through my head now when I'm studying quilt patterns on more, and you'll see more bauble quilted ornaments this month. But we started out with the sawtooth star, an easy way to create the star without having to handle a lot of pieces. And again, just go through all your scraps. Just throw all your Christmas stuff together. This paper here is not even, these two blues are not even a part of this designer series paper pack. Those are from a walk in the woods. But I wanted the balmy blue. So mix your stuff up. Use whatever works. Use up your old stuff so you can make room for the new stuff. So I'm going to give away 4 cards. And let's see, let's put the word bauble in as the keyword. So if you want a chance at winning a card, just put bauble in the comments. And then I'll give away some cards this weekend. Hi, Luann. Oh, thank you. And there is a PDF in the works. So look for a PDF to go with this this weekend. I'll upload it to the files over in our private group called Quilt Cards and More, which I hope you'll join if you're not already a member. If you have problems finding the group, let me know and I'll send you the link so you don't have to keep searching. And that's it for today, you guys. I hope that you love this as much as I did when I designed it. And now that the secret is out. Hey, Beth's here. Hi, Beth. Hi, Jean. Tina's here. Yay! Okay, so thank you everybody for spending your Thursday morning with me. I can't wait to see what you do. This is really easy to do, just following the replay. Just cut your stuff, watch the replay again. Goes together really, really easy. And then share what your Christmas in July cards look like over in the group with us, okay? All right, everybody, have a really blessed day, and I'll be talking to you later.